Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Ljs Garage. I am sitting in a 2022 Hyundai Santa Cruz. This is the sports adventure vehicle for those of you that are unaware. And so yes, up front it looks like a Tucson, but behind this thing, it's like a mullet. Business in the front, party in the back. And that's 4 inches. And that's 4 feet worth of partiness in the back. So stay tuned as I give you a walk around tour and, guide you as we talk about the Hyundai Santa Cruz and this very unique vehicle that Hyundai has to offer. So what exactly is a sports activity vehicle? I'm going to try to explain this in the best way that I think Hyundai was trying to do. So let's say you want a truck, but you don't want a truck. Let's say you want an SUV, but you want a truck bed. Let's say you want great fuel economy, but you don't need a big V8, you don't need a diesel. So you want something pretty environmentally friendly. So you consider something with a 4-cylinder. And maybe you want it a little bit quicker. So maybe you want a 4-cylinder turbo, but you also still want the drivability, practicality, and space of an SUV, but also a truck bed. So this is exactly that. If you're on this channel, then you're probably stopping by from my Maverick video. And if you're a buyer of the Maverick or someone considering one of those, then this makes sense why you would end up looking at the Santa Cruz. So this SEL comes in right around $27,000, and it does have a few other options, which I will discuss. But let's say you pick one up and it's just the SEL, $27,000. That's actually not too bad. What else do you find with a pickup truck other than used trucks, but brand new? The only thing else is the Maverick. And you may be wondering, what is the $7,000 difference between the base Maverick and the SEL? So there are a little bit of niceties, especially safety features and a couple bells and whistles that I do care to point out. But overall, this is a kind of a different animal from the Maverick. This is not necessarily trying to get truck buyers to switch over to this. This is something different. This is for the gardeners, the campers, those people that do some off-roading that need all-wheel drive, but not four-wheel drive. This does tow quite a bit, anywhere from 3,500 pounds to 5,000 pounds, depending on which option you spec. So with the Santa Cruz itself, you're going to have 2 engine options. One is going to be a 4-cylinder, which is an inline 4, so it makes good power. It makes about 191 horsepower and about 180 foot-pounds of torque. So pretty decent numbers, not the strongest, not the weakest, pretty moderate numbers. And then if you are really adventurous, there's going to be a 4-cylinder turbo option, and that's going to be still the same inline 4. However, this is going to make 281 horsepower and 311 foot-pounds of torque. So those are meaty numbers. Those are crazy healthy numbers. And this, it does scoot, it does move, and you'll have no problem getting out of your own way with this. Couple more things to point out. You do get front-wheel drive as standard, but you can opt for all-wheel drive. And then something else that's really interesting is you do get the option to have an 8-speed automatic, or if you are able to, spend a little bit extra and go up to one of the higher trims or choose the 4-cylinder turbo engine, you'll get the dual clutch transmission. In a Santa Cruz? Why? I don't know, just because. It shifts faster, it's a little bit more fun to drive, a little bit more engaging having that dual clutch versus a traditional, automatic transmission. So something to keep in mind if you're like more on the sporty driving side and you like to have a little bit more thrill behind the wheel. I'm not saying this is going to replace your Corvette, but if your wife, husband, spouse, partner, anyone wants to have one of these as maybe the second car in the household and you got to drive it, it won't be the worst thing after all. Up front, you're going to notice your cool grille, and then you'd think the headlights are to the left, but they're actually down at the bottom. So those are just your daytime running lights. Outside is very good looking. It's a very unique shape and style. And so from this side, you just saw this and you think it looks like a Tucson. And then from the back, you got your little 4-foot bed. And we'll talk about the bed there in a little bit. But overall, this is what she wrote. If you're curious about the color, this is going to be the nice, gorgeous sage gray color. You would think that it's a green, but it's sage gray. So, for those of you that are colorblind, I'm sorry, but it might just look gray. Wheels are going to be 18-inch wheels. You do have the option to get 19s on the higher trims. And then if you look right there, you're going to see on this little guard, you'll see that you got a little Santa Cruz hiding there. Then you're going to have Santa Cruz stamped on the tailgate. You're going to have your backup camera right here. You just pop this guy drops down. Soft close, soft open, all that good stuff. Give that guy a close. You're going to have a little step here. Boom. So you'll notice that you got a little storage space under here, so you can kind of make use of this bed a little bit more than taking up all the space on the top. Close this up here. You're gonna have a little compartment there, little tie downs, another compartment there, more tie downs. But yeah, that's what she looks like. So pretty good usable space, and even though it's not the biggest bed, sitting at just 4 foot, and that's all you get, that's the only option, it does allow for, you know, lots of things to go on back there. Hopping in the back, you're gonna notice you've got usable space back here. Average sized people will fit averagely fine. That seat's set for someone about 6 foot tall. I'm 5'9". I'm sitting pretty comfortably back here, and I'll show you what the headroom situation looks like. But before I do, this is what your cockpit area looks like. All right, so you can see a good bit of headroom. You know, even my hair has room to fit, and I'm comfortable. No issues back here whatsoever. So I like it. Like I said, I'm 5'9", so I'm not a giant. Other people will probably, you know, complain maybe once they get to like 6'2", it might get a little snug back here. So fair warning. This is not striving in SUV area, and it's not striving in the truck area. It's just a perfect little meet right in the middle. And if you're wondering if you do get any storage underneath the seats, I'll go ahead and just pull this little tab right here. Pull that, and bam. Under seat storage, you got your jack right there, some wheel locks, and some more Hyundai goodies. But otherwise, that's what you get. So if you do need to put things back here, you sure can. You'll notice that in the back, you don't have a sliding window. That is something that you can get on the other trims. On your key, you're gonna have your lock, unlock, release the tailgate here. Just hold that. That guy drops right down, easy enough. Unfortunately, it does not come back up, so you gotta walk all the way over there and put it up manually. And you do have your remote start, easy enough. Just make sure the car is locked, hold that, it will start right up. So that's a pretty nice feature to have. If you guys can see right there, it says designed in California. So that kind of gives you some idea of what they're all about. All right, so let's talk interior. What do you get at around $27,000 to $30,000? So first up, if you look in front, you're going to notice that you do have analog gauges with a small digital screen in the middle, which does show you just enough information that you need to know. We'll dive into that in a second. But otherwise, there's really nothing to dive into on the steering wheel. It feels pretty good, solid materials. I have no complaints. I'm not that fancy. On the left-hand side, you're going to have cool little turn stalks, and they do have kind of like a crystal-y looking appearance. They're supposed to be a little bit more premium, so they look a little bit nicer than they would normally in just plain simple black. You're gonna have your wiper controls on this side. So let's get back to this screen up front here. If you want to skip through the menus, you'll notice that there's a couple different things in here. Let's talk about the driver assistance features. So you click that. You're gonna have your driver attention warning, forward safety. If you click that, you can have it to where it just gives you a warning if you're about to hit something, and then you can have the actual active assistant where it stops you from hitting something. You got your lane safety, click on that. Same thing, you can have just warnings, or you can have it actually try to keep you in your lane, whichever you like. So if you're not a fan of all this tech and you don't want to jump right into it, you have a choice. Blind spot safety, same thing. Safe exit warning, which is nice, is if you have someone in the back and they're about to open the side door, it'll let you know if there's cars coming up from the side, so you don't do that. Parking safety, rear cross traffic, nothing to dive into that. That's all pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, that's all the safety features you get there. And like I said, there's a lot of things in here that you can dive into, but for the most part, it's all pretty easy to navigate, pretty easy to get used to. And the gauges, they're not bad. I mean, yes, they are half analog in 2022, but for most people, that's actually what people prefer. They don't want all these screens. All right, so let's talk about this display here. So you got about a 10-inch display, and the cool thing with this is that it does have touch buttons, but the volume button's a normal little dial, so that's pretty handy. And same with this tune/file one. Unfortunately though, it does take a little bit of getting used to, but luckily there's Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. All of that's included, but for the most part, I mean, there's no real anything to dive into. If you've been in any of these, it's all pretty familiar. What's funny is if you don't know what this means, it just says button, but you click on that, and that's this star button, like I said, right here. So that allows you to customize what shortcut you want that button to do. So if you're not sure and it just says button, that's what it's for. Otherwise, let me see if there's anything else that's really worth talking about. Quiet mode is something that's kind of cool. So when in quiet mode, your radio media is only played through the front seats, so that's pretty nice. It's not as useful as it is in the SUVs, but it is kind of nice, I guess, if you do have sleeping kids back there. So that's nice. But with an SUV, the kids are a little bit further, so it makes a little bit more sense. But in here, though, there really is not much. Not much at all. But it's all pretty easy to use. The Blue Link system is the app that works with your phone, allows you to do a lot of cool things. Check to see, you know, your fuel levels, remote start, all of those things, all from an app. I've heard it works pretty well. Then down at the bottom, you're going to notice you got your climate settings here. Just your normal single zone climate control, but you do have nice responsive buttons, so you don't have to worry about diving into the screen in order to make things happen. Down at the bottom, you're going to have 2 USB ports right here, your normal little cigarette lighter, and then down here you're going to have what could be a charging pad, but in this one it's just going to be a normal traditional little storage space. You're going to have your cup holders right there, traditional shifter, and then an electric parking brake. A few buttons on here to talk about. This looks like it would be a center locking differential, but it's not. It's just Hyundai's fancy 4-wheel drive system that sends 50% of the power to the front, 50% to the rear, and it locks them at 50-50 split. So you have that if you want. Drive modes, if you click on the different drive modes, snow, smart, sport, and normal. Nothing to dive into with that. Electronic parking brake. Let's check what your backup camera looks like. Not too bad, not too bad. You're going to have heated seats right there, and you'll notice that there are some blank buttons because you do have the option on the higher trims to get cooled or ventilated seats. That button will pop this open. You got your nice deep storage space right there. So, bam, and that's really it. Seats are nice. You're going to have your glove box over here, and cup holders plentiful. Up top, you're going to have a normal little rear view mirror, your Blue Link Wi-Fi setting stuff, and then you're going to have a mirror right there with a little toggle switch with a vanity light, so it's good to have. But otherwise, yeah. At the end of the day, there's not much to report on when it comes to the driving experience. It handles well. If you've driven any Hyundai products with the 4-cylinder turbo, it is peppy, it's zippy. There's not much for me to show, and unfortunately, seeing me smile and grin, this is not a sports car, so handling is okay. Braking is okay. It does everything that it needs to do just fine. You won't be disappointed, and if you do need a little bit extra power, this 4-cylinder turbo performs just well. So special thanks to Jeff Weiler Hyundai over here in Beaver Creek, Ohio. If you are in the area, be sure to stop in and say hello to these guys. They always have the best inventory when it comes to Hyundais around here, and so I spend a lot of time at this dealership, more than I care to admit. But I'm back, and I love their cars, so thank you guys again. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button, and I will see you on the next episode.